Hi, I'm Nicolette Amarillas. I'm a strength coach and a posture and movement specialist, and I want to help you move better and exercise without pain. We're going over a stability ball back extension stretch today. This is a great spinal mobility if you're trying to change the shape of your spine, coming out of flexion and into a stronger, more extended position. Great for anyone who's sitting at a desk all day, driving all day, or if you're just experiencing tension, especially in the upper thoracic of the body. Now, as with any spinal exercise or stretch, if you're experiencing acute pain anywhere along your spine, cervical, all the way down to your lumbar, just make sure to consult a physician first. Let's go over the exercise now. Now, I oftentimes give this stretch to clients who need to change the shape of their spine. Either they're in severe flexion of the upper thoracic, or they usually have a really strong forward head position. All of these things can cause pain and discomfort, not only in the upper body, but all the way down the chain. You will need a stability ball, of course. This is about a size large, something that's big enough to really hold your entire body. I'm 5'5", if that gives you an idea of the size of the ball should be. I'm gonna get onto my back on the ball, but first kind of in like a seated position, almost like I'm about to do a glute bridge. I'm going to show you a couple variations to this exercise because it can be pretty intense. The first variation being the easiest. My knees are bent and they're right over my ankles, and my hips are touching the ball, but they are dropping down a little bit toward the floor, okay? So thighs almost parallel with the floor. From here, my arms are going to be out about 45 degrees from my body with my palms facing up, just to encourage more of a chest stretch. Then we come into the stretch by dropping the head back and allowing the body to relax onto the ball. This is, let's call it phase one, okay? The least intense. What you're gonna feel with this stretch is a big stretch of your upper body, so the pec minor, a little bit here at the rib cage of the upper abdominals, and maybe even into the biceps. Now, if this doesn't feel very intense for you, you can move on to phase number two. Phase number two is simple. It's just an extension of the legs. So now I'm getting into a little bit more hip extension, so a big stretch of the hips. This also puts me into a deeper stretch of my upper body, as well as a really big stretch through the front of my neck. So if there's a lot of tightness in your upper thoracic, you might find that putting your head on the ball is really challenging and causes more mobility than you have. If that's the case, then I encourage you to come back to the knees and hips bent position so that this is a little bit easier on your cervical spine. Now, if this feels really doable, like it does for myself, you can go into phase number three. Phase number three is pretty simple. We're simply gonna bring the arms overhead for a really deep stretch through the shoulders. Now, my palms are still facing up, and my arms are about 45 degrees from my head, with my elbows softly bent. This is going to encourage a huge stretch through the pecs and the pec minor. The pec minor is a muscle that oftentimes gets really tight and pulls the shoulders forward and pulls us into what's called a kyphotic postural position, which just means the upper thoracic or the upper part of the spine is being pulled forward. Now, this could be really challenging for some people with shoulder injuries or any tightness in the upper body. And if that's the case, then just keep your arms here. It's still a great stretch through the spine by simply having your arms at your sides. What we're doing here is we're trying to open up the front of the body. So notice my rib cage is right at the apex of the ball, basically the top of the ball. And you're thinking about how gravity is pulling you down toward the ball, really opening up the front of the body. So much of our lives is done in front of us. And so like you've probably seen all over the internet, especially as it relates to posture, this is contributing to that forward flexed and tightening of the front of the body. And a lot of the times, a stretching and a loosening of the muscles of the back of the body. So this is a great stretch to just encourage an opening of the front of the body. To come out of it, I like to bend my knees and my hips and allow my body to roll forward, and then I simply come down to a seated position or stand up from there. You can incorporate this stretch daily or a couple of times a week if you're trying to improve that bad posture. Usually that means a tightening of the muscles in the front of the body and a lengthening and a loosening of the muscles in the back of the body. So if you incorporate a stretch like this, opening up the front of the body, and extra credit if you work on strengthening the back of the body, that should help improve the shape of the spine. If you have any questions on posture, movement mechanics, or strength training, feel free to comment below. And I'll see you next time. I'm Nicolette Amarillas. Thanks for being here.